Hello guys, welcome back to another tutorial with Loyal Fire Tuts. In this tutorial I'm going to be going through Auxes, buses and sends. If you're new to this channel, make sure you subscribe because I try and do videos weekly, and I'm going to be giving some stuff away soon as well, like free sounds and free channel strips or templates. So just follow us on Facebook and Twitter and I'll let you know more about that there. So instead of explaining what Auxes, buses and sends are, I think it's best if I just show you how I use them, and then you can translate that into how you might use them. So I've got this sound here. As you can see, I've got bus 9 and this is my send, and I'm sending to a bus, and the bus is going to my aux channel here. Now let's take a look at the mix window. Now this is a template that I always use every time I start a track or start a mix. Unless I'm doing a master, I have a different template for mastering. But as you can see, I've got 4 different reverbs, I've got 4 different delays, and then I've got some other different effects here. And we would call these aux channels, and we can send to these via buses. Now we could just use effects by inserting them on our individual channels that we want them on, but this will use up a lot of CPU, and we might just want one reverb that we really like a big reverb and a small reverb. And then it will make our mixes a lot cleaner as well, rather than having a lot of different kind of effects. If we just have a set few, then it makes our mix a lot clearer, you know, and it's easier to control. And also it's just a lot more efficient. So if there's a particular reverb that I want to use for every single instrument in my drums, and there's another reverb that I want to use for my vocals, so all we have to do is have our favourite reverbs on our aux channels, and then we can send the signal to them aux channels, however much of it we want to be affected. So if we go into this reverb here, as you can see, I've got it all the way wet. I've got no dry signal at all because we already have our dry signal on our original sound. So let me give you an example. We first have to set up the bus. So we go to sends, and then we can choose a bus that's not being used, which is bus 24. And then we can put an effect on this. Let's say, let's just pick anything. Okay. We can send now however much of the signal we want. Let's turn these off. Now I might really like that reverb and I want to use it on different sounds, so all I have to do is go onto a different channel and then do the same again. Send to it however much I want. So we've already got our dry signal, and then this is our wet. So then what you could do with the effects, you can send it either to your stereo out, or what I do is I send it to an effects bus, which is basically just an aux channel that I'm using to group all my effects. And what I've done is I've took out some of the center of that, just so that I can keep the effects out of the middle and just make it a bit more cleaner. Leave the center clear for the kick and the vocals and stuff like that. So you know, that can be really useful. And also you can sidechain the effects channel. So let's say we wanted to put a compressor on that, and every time the kick comes in, the effects duck. Let's just take the auto gain off. So as you can see, it's ducking. So that can be useful for making sure that things are a bit cleaner. So you could just make everything get out of the way for the kick. Now parallel compression is another thing we can use the send for. So instead of duplicating your track and parallel compressing your track, what you can do is send to a, as you can see, hard comp. So I've already got a compressor here. I've not set it up yet, but I can set that up however I want. I can compress the hell out of it, and then I'm basically parallel compressing. So what I'll do is I'll send the whole signal to it, and then we can change the volume of the parallel compression. So there we have our dry signal, and here we have the parallel compressed signal. So that saved us duplicating the channel. And you can also automate sends. So let's say if you have a vocal and you want the last word to ring out, then what you would do is just go into your automation window, select the send, let's go into your reverb, and then just turn up the send. Let's just activate it. So that's quite useful. So let's say we want to send a sound to an effect, but we also want that effect to have another effect on it. Now I've got this snare here and I want to send it to a reverb, and I also want to send it to a delay. But when I send them separately, it sounds a bit unnatural and I want a bit more of a natural space. Now I could just put the reverb on the channel after the delay, but we don't need to do that because we've already got our reverb. We can just send to it. And there we go. So we've gone through sending signals to buses to use our effects on Auxes channels. So join me in part 2 where we'll be going through using our Auxes channels and our buses to create groups. And then we could reference that. Why won't you call my name? Reference that against our own track.